Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Great Scott. Our in-depth look at Batman v Superman. Go on to Superman. Overall in the film, I posit that he is super inspiring, super hopeful, super heroic, and a super positive force in the Zack Snyder created DC movie universe that we are getting now. The Dark Knight of Gotham and the Last Man of Krypton. No one would ever say that these two titans were titans. There's one titan and then there's one guy in a batsuit. Save anyone besides Lois! And this is just insane because he saves the entire planet. Why didn't Superman just wait for someone else to kill Doomsday? But it's clear through the fight that Superman has no intention of killing Batman. Why do you say that name? Superman now, the, according to some fans, non-beacon of hope, dark symbol that's in the movie, inspires him to stop being so nasty and to try and revert his ways, even when Alfred says you're doing new things that you never did before that I don't really like. Batman just answers, we're criminals, we've always been criminals, and that's the way it's going to be. But seeing Superman do what he does inspires Batman to change. And we will see some of those changes moving forward. But I assume we'll see some of the changes in the other direction when Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck bring us The Batman and a proposed series of a couple of movies starring Batman. We may see him in later days when maybe Robin's around or whatever, and whatever happens to Batman to get him to that point, to need Superman to rescue him, not in a physical way, but in a soul-saving way to bring him back to the side of the light, even though he's the Dark Knight. And this is what Superman does in this movie. And yes, he saves Lois a couple of times, but he also saves the whole world. You also see the montage of him saving people. They purposely go to a place where they're showing him save a girl in a burning building. They're showing him save people in a flood. They're showing people looking up to him because they know he's a force for good and they know that he can help them, and they're looking to him for that help because since Man of Steel, he's been doing those kinds of things. And now Lex Luthor has decided to put his plan into motion, and it's making him look bad again. And of course, we still have people making judgments about what happened in Man of Steel, and we have them asking him to come forward and that he needs to answer for what happened, and he does. He does all the right things, meanwhile continuing to save people, continuing to help people, continuing to fight the good fight, and continues that fight even when it looks like everyone doesn't want him to, and he's not sure exactly what to do. So he then doubts himself after the fact and says, why wasn't I looking? Why wasn't I ready for that? Well, he probably has more faith in humanity. He goes there in good faith. He goes there because they ask him to. And then this terrible thing happens and he's upset about it. You see he's crying. You see he's hurt by it. You see he can't believe that it happened. It's not like he's laughing or he caused it. Superman then goes to Lois, who is his rock, and says, I don't know what to do anymore. You used to stand for hope. Clearly now it stands for people trying to explode people and people shooting people in the desert and terrible things happening and everybody hating me. So a lot of fans are saying, well, Superman doesn't doubt himself like that. Superman doesn't have confidence problems. Superman doesn't ever think maybe he should stop being Superman. And of course all of that is untrue, as it's happened many times in the comics where he doubts himself, and then things that have happened have made him fly away into space and stay away for a long time. Things that have happened that have made him stop being Superman for a while. It was Lex Luthor, who again is great at being Lex Luthor, great at being manipulative, and great at being evil. And he killed Mercy, and that bothers me. And he does that in this movie to an extent. He doesn't really do it for long. He goes on a walk, he's out in the woods or in the snow, and he sees a vision of Pa Kent, which was great to see. I think it was a memory of maybe when they were out in the mountains before. And it reminded him that Lois is there, and it reminded him that bad things will happen during the course of a career, just like the Lang farm getting flooded and horses drowning because the Kents were trying to do something good to save their own farm. It backfired. And Superman isn't even doing that directly, but things are conspiring against him, around him, that he cannot control. But the fact that he cannot control it doesn't mean that he still shouldn't continue to do the right thing. There will be things that happen. And to me, that's inspiring. He knows these things are happening but he knows he's still needed, and he comes back and he does what needs to be done, and then he stops Doomsday. First, he takes him into space, risks his own life, and gets nuclearized, if that's a word. They send nuclear missile, and that could have been it for him. He doesn't know. He also didn't know he was going to get it, but he purposely turns the situation toward the missile. He doesn't fly away, he doesn't run away, he doesn't try to... He, at no care to himself, tries to finish off Doomsday in that moment because he knows it's the only way to do it. Doomsday, of course, survives the explosion even better than Superman does. Superman's in bad shape up there. But then he comes back and he continues to fight again. He keeps going. That's what Superman does. And yes, Batman does it in the movie too. Wonder Woman does it in the movie too. Batman does a lot of diving out of the way and not too much helping against Doomsday, but he does fire the little green shell at him, the last one that he has in his weapon. So Batman is also fighting. But the point is, Superman is Superman in this movie. And people said he doesn't smile, he's not happy. I again would disagree with that. He's taking baths with Lois Lane. He smiles many times in that scene. He clearly loves being with her. He loves his life with her. He is very determined in his job at the plant. He wants to chase down this story. He thinks bad things are happening with Batman and Gotham. He doesn't think it's right. This is Superman. This is Clark Kent. This is the crusader against oppression. I don't know what people are seeing. No, it's not always bright and cheery. But there are some bad things happening in the movie. It's not a bright and cheery time. And to do a movie where there's a period of time where things are bright and cheery and birds are chirping and there's rainbows would obviously be a very different movie franchise and probably not particularly exciting or dramatic if everything is that great all the time. So yes, bad things happen and there isn't a lot of time for smiling for any of the heroes, but they all have their moments of levity, and probably Clark has the most. So I'm not really sure what people are watching in terms of saying that it's a Superman who doesn't smile and broods like Batman. He really isn't like Batman. He does have a moment, but it's a moment of his humanity. I think the point of the movie is showing how wrong Batman is and how human this guy is and how he's crestfallen because people are attacking him and because bad things keep happening despite all of his efforts, so he's hurting. And that's more human than Batman gives him credit for being, and I think that's the point of Superman's arc in the movie. And the continuation of that arc is an arc for Batman, and that is that he's this kind of a bad guy, killing people and doing bad things, but because of Superman, you start to see him come back a little bit from that. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, men are still good. We gotta start the Justice League. I am your real Prince Charming, and I double in a Mickey Mom, and I don't know the words. What song is it?